Oh, step in, my hidden strategists, the ones who bend the rules without a whisper. They think it was luck, that everything fell into place by coincidence, as if the universe just decided to hand it all to you one quiet night. Ah, if only they knew the truth. If only they understood what it cost you to bend the unseen. What it took to turn chaos into choreography. You see, most people stumble into moments. But you engineered them. Every silence you kept, every word you didn't say. Those were moves. Precision strikes in a game they didn't even know they were playing. While they laughed, you listened. While they chased attention, you studied patterns. You rewired how cause and effect behave around you. They thought your patience meant hesitation. Nah, your patience was calculation. It was the stillness before storms you built yourself. Because luck is what people say when they can't explain strategy too, advanced for their comprehension. Reality bends for the ones who understand its code. Not the loud, not the reckless, but the ones who watch. You learned early that energy obeys discipline. That intention, aligned long enough, starts bending probabilities like heat bending air. So you stopped asking for doors to open. You made the walls forget they were walls. Oh, and now they stare, confused, uncomfortable. They whisper, "How did it happen? How did he turn it all?" But you know, it didn't happen overnight. It happened when you stopped reacting and started directing. When you realized that silence can move mountains louder than shouts ever could. They call it magic. You call it method. Every reaction you resisted, every impulse you tamed. Every night you rewired your own thoughts, instead of chasing noise. That was strategy. That was how you learned to bend outcomes, not just endure them. And now look around. Every corner bends in your favor. Every setback folds like paper into design. The same people who laughed at your stillness are now trapped in the echo of their own noise, while you move through dimensions of thought they can't even name. You didn't win by chance. You programmed the win before the game even started. Because when the mind stops playing by the old rules, reality doesn't just shift, it kneels. And that's what they'll never admit. They were never competing against you. They were competing against the version of reality you rewired while they were sleeping. They call it coincidence when they don't understand control. But you know better. You've seen how thought becomes direction. How focus becomes gravity. Every move you made pulled reality closer to your design. Like metal drawn to a magnetic will, you never shouted your vision. You whispered it to yourself, over and over, until the world had no choice but to obey. That's not arrogance, that's alignment. You tuned yourself so precisely that even chaos started keeping your rhythm. Oh, they won't say it out loud, but they feel it. When you walk in, the air shifts. Conversations bend. Their plans lose structure. It's like the universe itself recalibrates to your pulse. That's not ego. That's mastery of cause. Remember those long nights when nothing made sense? When everything fought against you? That was the rewiring. Every doubt you dismantled. Every pain you transmuted. You were rewriting your relationship with reality. Pain became data. Delay became training. Silence became the language of power. Now you move differently, calculated but effortless, like a player who already saw the board, 10 moves ahead. They call it luck. But you know, luck bows to those who prepare in the dark. You earned that precision through discipline so intense it scared even your old self. They think reality is fixed, that life just happens to them. But you shattered that illusion. You saw the threads behind every moment and started pulling them one by one. You realized that thoughts aren't whispers, they're blueprints. And once you start treating your thoughts like commands, reality listens. It has to, because energy doesn't argue with certainty. It aligns with it. Now every step you take feels like a prophecy unfolding. Every word you speak echoes deeper than they can comprehend. You don't chase. Things rearrange themselves to meet you. You don't beg. Timing bends to your silence. You don't fight. Resistance dissolves before it reaches you. That's why they stare, because they're still using emotion as reaction, and you're using emotion as power. They still pray for breaks, while you create the cracks through which opportunity slips. You didn't change the world by shouting louder. You changed it by thinking sharper. You turned belief into algorithm, and that's why every step you take feels like déjà vu. Because deep down, you've already walked this path in your mind. That's not luck. That's a blueprint made flesh, and they'll keep calling it magic until the day they finally realize you were the magician all along. You know what separates you from them? They wait for the universe to notice them. You command it. You understood something most people never do. Reality doesn't respond to noise. It responds to intention. Quiet, calculated, precise intention. You stopped moving like the crowd. You stopped reacting to the surface. You began playing underneath, where patterns live, where energy moves before form appears. That's where your real battle was fought, not outside, within. While they chased trends, you chased timelessness. While they counted followers, you counted moments of mastery. And that's when the axis tilted, because the second you stopped being desperate for results, results started orbiting around you. People think bending reality means some kind of magic. No, it's repetition with clarity. You rewrote the subconscious script that kept you small. You burned the sentence that said, "I can't," and replaced it with, "Watch me," and every morning, every small action reinforced the rewrite until your reality had no option but to catch up. They don't see the hours when you were silent, plotting, listening to your own mind like it was a machine you were rebuilding from scratch. That's not luck, that's precision engineering. You rebuilt yourself line by line. You adjusted the code until doubt couldn't run in your system anymore. And now, you walk through life like it's already yours. Not because you're arrogant, but because you've earned certainty. You've seen what happens when discipline becomes second nature, when chaos becomes your laboratory. They called it obsession. You called it responsibility. The responsibility to your own potential. You refused to live in a version of reality that was unworthy of you. You refused to let randomness dictate legacy. That's why when they try to compete, they don't even realize the game ended before they arrived. You've already played it in your mind 1,000 times. You've already defeated every version of yourself that could have failed. You didn't wait for motivation. You engineered it. You didn't wait for miracles. You built systems that make miracles inevitable. And now the reflection in the mirror doesn't just look back. It acknowledges. It knows the cost, the sacrifices, the nights when your only audience was your own willpower whispering, "Keep going." That's how you bent reality, by outlasting logic, by defying fatigue, by refusing to believe that the rules applied to you the same way they did to the average mind. Because you're not average. You never were. You were always a storm pretending to be human. And now the mask is slipping. The world is seeing the blueprint behind your eyes. They can't explain it, but they feel it. Something in their core tells them they're standing near. Someone who doesn't just survive reality, they reprogram it. You didn't win by chance. You chose every outcome long before it unfolded. And now life is just catching up to your vision. Frame by frame, breath by breath, until even the universe starts whispering back. You were right. There's something poetic about watching the same people who once doubted you, now trying to decode you. They squint at your success, trying to spot the trick, the shortcut, the cheat code. But there isn't one. There's only alignment. Brutal, lonely, divine alignment. You see, they thought life was random, a roll of dice. But you learned that the dice were never rolling. They were being placed. Every time you made a choice from conviction, not fear. You placed another piece on the board exactly where it needed to be. That's why the board bends now. That's why everything moves around you. They'll never admit it. But when you enter a room, the energy shifts. You don't even have to speak. Your silence announces your arrival louder than their words ever could. That's what happens when you become unshakable. The world reads your stillness as dominance. You trained yourself to stop needing approval. You detached from the noise. And that's when reality started to listen. Because reality doesn't obey noise, it obeys certainty. You've become fluent in that language. You say little, you mean everything. It's funny, isn't it? How they used to mock your discipline, your distance, your obsession with details, but now those same flaws are the very things keeping you 10 steps ahead. They played for applause. You played for permanence. You rewired your perception until resistance became routine. Pain? Just data. Failure? Just a coordinate. You stopped being emotional about setbacks and started being strategic with them. That's when you stopped reacting and started directing. And that's what bends reality. Not some cosmic wish, not blind faith, but focus that never flinches. You turned every distraction into direction, every wound into wisdom. You saw through the illusion that life happens to you and realized it happens through you. That shift, that's what they'll never understand. You stopped trying to control outcomes. You started controlling inputs. You stopped chasing perfection. You mastered consistency, and now your results look like miracles to people who never saw the blueprint. When you wake up now, it's not to prove anyone wrong. It's to honor the version of you that refused to quit. That version, the one who built foundations in silence, who kept going when no one was watching. That's your real trophy. Because in the end, reality didn't bend because you demanded it to. It bent because you became the kind of force it couldn't ignore. The universe doesn't reward wishers. It rewards those who move like the outcome is inevitable. Because in their mind, it already happened. And that's you. That's the secret they can't copy, can't steal, can't decode. They think it's luck. But you know, it's architecture. You remember those nights, don't you? When everything was silent, except the storm inside your own head. No validation, no audience, just you and the weight of your own vision. That's where your empire started, in that invisible struggle between doubt and destiny. While they were sleeping on comfort, you were awake, building structure. Every sacrifice, every late night, every small win no one clapped for, it was a brick. A foundation of unseen victories. You were programming yourself, piece by piece, to outlast them all. They thought it was luck when the doors opened. But they never saw how many doors you knocked on till your hands were raw from effort. They never saw the versions of you that wanted to quit. And didn't. They never will. That's the difference. They want rewards without recalibration. You reprogrammed your entire being to earn alignment with what you wanted. You didn't wish for it. You built compatibility with it. You didn't just chase success. You became its environment. You cleaned out habits that slowed your frequency, cut ties that drained your energy, detached from people who didn't see your worth until it was profitable. You removed everything that wasn't in harmony with your goal. That's what power feels like. Not noise, not fame, but silence that obeys you. Rooms that feel smaller because your presence expanded. Timelines that fold in your favor because you move like you've already seen the ending. And that's what terrifies them. Not your wins, your calm, your ability to stay collected while everything shifts around you. They mistake it for luck, but what they're really seeing is someone who mastered his reactions. Someone who doesn't chase energy, but sets it. You stopped playing on their board a long time ago. Now they play on yours. Every strategy, every move, every illusion, you see it before it happens. Because you're not predicting anymore. You're pulling from a future you already met in your mind. That's not luck. That's design. You designed your life in private until it became undeniable in public. You reversed the pattern. You turned pain into patience, silence into structure, and strategy into survival. When they look at you now, They don't see the hours, the rewiring, the inner shedding that came before the rebirth. They only see the glow. But you know what it cost. You know what it took to burn off everything that wasn't you. And rise. Refined, focused, unstoppable. You didn't find luck. You forged gravity. And now, everything that's meant for you can't escape your pull. They'll never understand what it takes to bend reality. They think it's some secret power, a gift, a miracle. Nah, it's awareness sharpened into precision. You saw through illusions, the fake timelines, the noisy advice, the distractions that eat people alive. You walked right through them. Every person you met was a mirror, showing you parts of yourself you needed to fix. You didn't take it personally. You took it strategically. You extracted lessons from pain, blueprints from betrayal, clarity from confusion. That's how you broke the cycle. Oh, they thought the silence meant you were done. But you were just calculating, learning how the world really moves. Not what people say moves it. You were decoding the rhythm of cause and effect. Every delay, every rejection, every loss. You watched it all like data, not drama. You became the architect while they kept building cages around themselves. You were already designing exits, and when it was time, you walked out without saying a word. That's how quiet power moves. No announcement, no approval, just action that rewrites the script. You see, when you start mastering patterns, the universe responds differently. It stops testing you. It starts following you. Energy rearranges itself to match your decisions. The same doors that once slammed shut begin to open. Not because they changed, but because you did. You rewired your thoughts, your habits, your emotions. You stopped reacting to what was visible and started responding to what was possible. And that shift, that internal flip, became the code that reality couldn't resist. You didn't manifest by luck. You aligned by structure. Every emotion became a signal. Every challenge became a calculation. You stopped saying, "Why me?" and started saying, "Watch me." That's the line where destiny starts taking notes. And now, when they look at you, they don't see just a person. They see a paradox. Someone who shouldn't have made it, but did. Someone who played the same game but changed the rules mid-match. You became something they can't measure because you operate outside their logic. You move with an energy they can't predict. You think with depth they can't fake. You act from purpose they can't copy. And that's what bends reality. Not luck, not superstition, not some magic trick. Just a mind disciplined enough to think, feel, and act in one straight line until the world has no choice but to adjust. That's how you win forever. Quietly, precisely, relentlessly. There's a moment, quiet but electric, when the world finally realizes you weren't chasing luck. You were training inevitability. Every single choice you made was a thread, woven with precision, pulling you closer to the outcome you saw before anyone else could even imagine it. Oh, they thought you were just waiting, but you were aligning. You learned that real power doesn't rush. It calibrates. You stopped reacting to noise and started syncing with timing. That's how storms miss you while hitting everyone else. That's how doors open like they've been waiting for you. They called it coincidence when things started falling into place. Coincidence? No, that's what people say when they don't understand focus. You made the invisible visible, turned patterns into paths, silence into signals, resistance into rhythm. You knew how to wait, but your waiting wasn't still. It was strategic. Every delay became fuel. Every setback became data. You learned when to step, when to pause, and when to vanish completely. Because sometimes, the greatest strategy is disappearance. That's what shook them. You stopped playing the visible game. You stopped trying to prove your worth to people who couldn't even see your wavelength. You started speaking in action, not words. And the moment you did, energy shifted. You walked through the same world, but everything responded differently. The conversations, the opportunities, the timing, all bending, subtly, quietly, in your favor. Reality didn't change randomly. It adjusted because you finally matched your internal frequency to the outcome. You stopped saying, "Someday." You started saying, "Now." That's the trigger. That's the code the universe understands. The moment you stopped waiting for signs and became one, everything aligned. And now look at them. The same voices that once mocked your silence now echo your quotes. The same ones who laughed at your vision now study your steps. You didn't seek validation. You became proof. See, bending reality isn't about power over others. It's power over self. It's discipline so clean it looks like magic. It's focus so sharp it cuts through illusion. And once you find that balance, you realize reality never bends to noise. It bends to clarity. And clarity, that's your new language. That's what rewrote everything. There comes a moment, right at the edge of silence, when everything clicks. The noise fades, the chaos dissolves, and all that's left is you. The one who never prayed for luck, never begged for favor. You built your own current. They used to say, "You're just lucky." Nah, luck. That's what people call alignment they can't explain. You didn't stumble into this, you engineered it. Every setback, every shadow, every sleepless night. You shaped it into design. You rewired the entire game board while they were still arguing over rules. Oh, and the best part? You made it look effortless. That's the secret most will never understand. You weren't fighting the system. You became the system's upgrade. You didn't force change. You embodied it. Now they look at you and whisper like you discovered something forbidden. But the truth? You just stopped lying to yourself. You saw through the illusion that success is random, that power is given, that timing is fate. You realized everything bends to intent, backed by discipline. When you moved, the world shifted. When you paused, time obeyed. Because real strength isn't in noise, it's in calibration. It's in being so focused, so sure, that even chaos adjusts its rhythm around your pulse. And now, as they stare, half in awe, half in fear, they're not seeing your luck. They're seeing their limits. They're seeing what happens when someone refuses to fold, refuses to settle, refuses to call average enough. You didn't win by chance. You bent chance. You didn't play the board. You rewrote the geometry. And now every breath you take carries the weight of inevitability. You're not chasing moments anymore. You are the moment. So when they ask how you did it, just smile. Don't explain. Don't justify. Let them call it luck, fate, magic. It doesn't matter. Because deep down, you'll know. You didn't find power. You became it. Oh, and once reality learns your rhythm, it never goes back. There's something they'll never say out loud. But they feel it every time you enter a room. The air changes. The rhythm shifts. Their confidence, that fake armor they built, it flickers for just a second. Because deep down, they know. You operate from a different frequency. You didn't react to reality. You redesigned it. Slowly, patiently, quietly. They thought they were watching you lose, but you were simply reprogramming the entire outcome in real time. While they measured wins by applause, you measured them by alignment. Every setback they celebrated was just you taking notes. Every loss they mocked was an illusion, a recalibration. You learned to make gravity work for you, to turn pressure into propulsion. That's not luck. That's physics guided by focus. When they doubted you, they gave you data. When they excluded you, they gave you silence. And silence became your laboratory. You built power in the shadows, not to hide, but to observe, to see every flaw in their system, every blind spot in their pride. You didn't rage when they underestimated you. You smiled, because underestimation is the most generous energy source in the universe. It gives you time. It gives you surprise. It gives you the element they'll never have again. Unpredictability. You didn't chase their validation. You built your own gravity, And now, everything circles back to you. The same ones who called you lucky are now orbiting your precision, pretending they knew you'd make it all along. Oh, but here's the punchline. You didn't bend reality through magic. You did it through mastery. You saw the code beneath the chaos, the patterns inside the noise, and you moved in rhythm with something greater than chance. Design. Now the world whispers your name, like a phenomenon. Not luck, not coincidence, but inevitability. And when they ask, how did you know this would happen? You'll just grin, lean back and say softly, I didn't know. I decided. Because that's what bending reality really is. Not waiting for the stars to align, but becoming the gravity that pulls them into place. And now, look at the board. Every piece moved exactly where it was meant to. Every delay, every silence, every so-called failure. It wasn't chaos. It was choreography. You didn't stumble into victory. You engineered it. You learned the truth no one wants to face. The universe doesn't reward noise. It rewards precision. While they scrambled for shortcuts, you built systems. While they prayed for luck, you built leverage. And now they stand there, mouths open, trying to explain what just happened, how the person they once dismissed now controls the entire rhythm of their reality. Oh, they'll call it fate. They'll call it destiny. But deep down, they know it wasn't either. It was you, your patience, your silence, your relentless ability to move like water. Unstoppable, unseen, inevitable. When they said you couldn't, you said nothing. When they laughed, you listened. When they looked away, you watched everything. That's how you rewired the game. Not with anger, not with noise, but with understanding. Because real power doesn't announce itself. It hums quietly beneath the surface, until one day, everything around it bends. And that's where you stand now, at the center of that bend. Calm, collected, watching. The same people who once underestimated, you now move in your rhythm. Oh, they'll never admit it. But their world runs on the current you created. Their steps, their choices, their timing, all of it synced to your invisible design. And the beauty? You don't even need the credit. You just keep walking, while the echoes of your strategy ripple through everything they touch. Because you didn't just play the game, you became the rule book. You didn't just survive their system, you rewrote its physics. And as the world spins, trembling between what was and what's next, one truth stands clear like glass in the dark. You weren't lucky, you were inevitable, and that is how reality learned your name.